Alright, welcome day 2, and I'm very grateful to people here for letting me do this as well as the live thing. I'm slightly less nervous than I was yesterday. I watched back the video last night. It's funny how nervous I get the first day. I'm so kind of feeling like I need to say everything and oh God, and there's this kind of carry on in my head that I'm not doing that right and this right and why didn't you do that and this and oh. But as I find that the process of actually getting into seeing and observing and placing down what I'm seeing with the colours and finding different ways of doing it occupies that part of the brain that's wanting to go on and on and on. Or maybe it just diminishes the sound of it. And actually I become more able to, more free. It makes me feel free. So there's no carry on in my head. I don't know, does everyone have carry on in their heads? Yes. I'm not sure. Anyway, some days it's fine. Okay. Alright, so very often starting out with this now, I would feel like maybe putting in something for the vase early on. Maybe, I think it might be a good place to start is to use collage. I want to kind of use collage to bridge the gap between the two sheets of paper as well, like just to kind of plaster it together. But yeah, but I think it actually needs to be lower if I want to get the Montbreche in. And I love the way the Montbreche flies along there. And Anna, you did that lovely flying motion with your painting of the Montbreche yesterday. I loved what you did with that. Okay, alright, so I think I'll start with I'll start by sticking on a bit of collage. And the thing about this paper is it's nice and thin. It's nice and thin, and I can put on. I don't know what I'm doing really. What am I doing? Okay, I'm going to use the brush next. I'm going to put some orange over the collage. You might find actually sometimes you need to just start with something, and it might be that you whip it off again, but actually just the motion of starting might give you an idea of what you want, and it might not be what's on here. But that, I think that's okay. But you know, actually, having said that, what might be, let's see what that does. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? The PVA glue. It's there already. I'm going to leave that off for a minute because I'm not so sure about that. Okay, and then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to put down a bit of masking tape. Can I take some of your masking tape, Caroline? Because it's thicker than mine. And is it the kind of masking tape that sometimes peels it off? Does it peel itself off in little bits? Always? No? Okay. It's just the way I put it.
Masking tape is so difficult.
Oh,
you get some that don't work at all. Some
Yeah.
that are really good. You can have
too sticky, not sticky enough.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the whole thing around that. Now what I want to do is I want to mask off the background so that I can do something exciting to the tabletop. And I'm going to turn the masking tape, yeah. So where I'm placing it now is the bottom edge of the masking tape is the top of the table. And I want to be able to put in something that will have a different quality of mark than the vase does. So I think some runs might work there. I mean, you don't even have to really think about it that much. But I feel like contrast is always a good thing to aim for, to find contrast. And one of the ways of finding contrast might be to use a consistency of paint that's different from the paint that's already on there. Do you know, I thought I might give this a go. Let's see what that roller will be like there. That's doing nothing, is it? Let's see, it's maybe. That's really having no effect. I think it's just because it's got acrylic already on it and it's just hard. That's kind of annoying, you know. I'm going to do something like, I'll just kind of start to do a little bit there. Let's see. And it's a good idea to constantly step back So what I want to do now, having put on all the wet stuff, I think I want to bring something dry. So I put ultramarine blue and the green hooker string together. And because all of it was wet, let me see. Actually, the tabletop green is a bit different, isn't it? I think it might do with a bit of cadmium red in it to subdue it a little bit. Gosh. I don't want to make it that kind of dull either. I'll just see what it's like. That's a bit more the colour, I think. And I know I said about the contrast. I think I should just not say stuff because I end up doing things that are different from what I say. But maybe there will be, yeah, we'll just see what happens. On this side, I'm going to do something just a bit muddier. And when I've got the green now, I may as well make a start up here and get something to indicate the shape of the leaves. So with my eyes half closed, I'm seeing the general shape of all the green really. Yeah. Sometimes forget the importance of that limbering up thing, and just to really feel loose and free and fully occupy the space you're in, lifting the sternum. Feel like it's important that your breath can be full, you know, and that your lungs are open and your belly soft. And mostly, for me, I feel like I notice when I'm starting to do this, and it's really important then I feel like to open up and, as I say, fully occupy the space you're in, and that maybe something more comes then as well maybe. I just want to put a bit more of the yellow in there because it's those funny kind of bally flowers that seem to have that colour to them. These shooting offlets. You know, the very first painting with flowers after lockdown felt like therapy. I just came in and I thought, it has to be big and wild and loose, and it was so it was like having a cold drink on a hot day. At last, that feeling. And it's different when there's company, you see. At home, I wouldn't have had the same vigour at all. Okay, now, yeah, and I think another thing we did yesterday, remember we did the thing of masking off the background, Caroline, and bringing a different colour up to meet one side there. I think that might be kind of a nice thing to do at this point when I'm waiting for the green to dry a bit, to just bring something into the background on the right hand side there. Got this new colour. And a nice clean bit of paper here. I think that let's see what that will look like. If you're wanting to try a colour for the background and you don't want to go straight in with it, you could always paint a sheet of paper and put it up beside it first, you know, and see what the colour looks like if you're figuring out which colour to use. I need to take this off, don't I? Because that's not going to end up meeting the wall otherwise. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, okay. That's a nice colour, isn't it? I like that colour. I need to use a bigger brush though. If you guys are, well, I suppose you're sitting quite close, right? Are you struggling with masks?
No,
Is it okay?
no.
Oh, I don't. Okay.
What you're watching and listening to then.
Oh, that's good to hear, yeah. I remember feeling that when we kind of decided the last 2 days of the summer school, we all decided to just wear them. And when the decision was made, I kind of felt like actually
Well, that's it.
it was fine.
Well, I've gone to the cinema.
I was going to say, actually, I haven't tried that yet, but I have wings.
Oh, do you wear your mask in the cinema?
Well, yeah, and you don't notice, you know, if you're enjoying the film.
Yeah. Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, that's nice. Because my daughter went to the cinema, I didn't realise that she had to wear a mask all the time.
I think in the big ones, if you have to but the film house, they
Oh,
want
okay.
you to wear it because it's smaller.
Yeah.
Side by side?
No, it's really well organized.
So here's an opportunity maybe with the spread flower. I'm going to bridge the gap because it's annoying me a little bit having the space, having it, you know, it's not stuck together right. I should have stuck it at the back first. So what I'm going to do instead now is, will I patch in something there that might be the flower? I could just put that there as a way of bridging it a little bit for myself. And really, if you are putting two bits together like I've just done here, I suggest that maybe you do it by sticking masking tape on the back. I should really have done that first, but it's okay. Alright, and then there's the lovely fuchsia hanging down. You know, I was just going to say, there's something really lovely about this, the part that gets engaged, you know, you're kind of thinking, what can I do to describe that? How can I make this particular bit happen? And feeling like you've got all these options. There's something really lovely in that kind of sense of playfulness, I suppose, and experimenting. See what could I use next? What would be the thing now that might work? And always seeking to have something fresh happen. There's some new way of describing the thing. Now these fuchsia here are backlit, and so maybe like yesterday I'll just indicate a colour where they might be. Oh jeepers, I just stuck my... Actually, it maybe no harm to have a bit of that because they are backlit, and so they will probably be a bit darker than I've got them there. And I could always put the light on then with a pick a bit of clean red after. So this is just finding the position of the fuchsia. I think I go like that because it feels to me like the fuchsia is growing in different directions. There's the kind of the arc of it, and then there's the bit shooting up and all the bits hanging down. And if you can give it a bit of energy, I think there's something about extending the mark beyond, you know, lines that overshoot are actually fine. They're evidence of the painting taking shape.
They're called dancing ladies, aren't they?
So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, dancing ladies, isn't that lovely? I feel like along with cyclamen, that you could say this, or along with fuchsia, you could say the cyclamen are like dancing angels, then maybe you're butterflies or something. I kind of gone up the way. There's a dancing quality to flowers. Always makes me feel like joy, really. There's something joyful in flowers, I reckon. Okay. Seem to be wanting bigger implements all the time. Just use the rag. And I suppose I could end up excavating out a little bit too where the green is. If I want to maybe have space for that yellow or that orange flower, the gerbera in front there. If the paint is in any way wet still, I can lift out a bit there in order to place in the orange of the gerbera. And I was going to do the thing that I did yesterday with the fuchsia and just begin to make the shape of them by finding a drawing tool with the rag. I've made it into kind of a drawing tool for myself, and then I can use it to just begin to find the shape of the fuchsia bells and the space between them. There's something very satisfying about this lifting off, I think. Okay. And it seems to me that it's enough to just maybe lift off a little bit and go and do something else rather than fully outline the flower. Just, it's a bit like I was saying yesterday, Suzanne's thing of my painting holds hands and comes up together. So you're tipping away at stuff all the time, like spinning plates. Everything has an energy about it. Let's see. No, I should maybe ask somebody to tang me, because I could end up having far too much fun here and end up just painting away for another 5 minutes. Is that okay? And is there anything, I suppose at this point it's just really about a kind of wanting to pass on something of the kind of energy you could come up to your painting with, and then if there's any like convoluted little things that I could help explaining later on, we could do that maybe, or individually. Okay. Just wanted to kind of make the shape of the orange a little bit clearer there. Alright. And then maybe a little bit more of the green. I could actually do the thing I was talking about yesterday. On the left side there, what appeals to me about this, where am I talking about? Yeah, about the left side of the vase. The thing that appeals to me there is the brightness of the background where it meets the vase. And I think it might be quite a nice thing there too. There's a number of ways to explain it. Could just use a line of oil pastel maybe. So this is the nice creamy oil pastel. I don't know if it's going to work over my PVA glue, but it's doing something there anyway. Just to find the edge there. And that might also be a nice way to identify a little bit more clearly some of this business here too. Some of the bits in between the fuchsia. Okay. Yeah, so that's one thing that you could do there. And the other thing, of course, is you could get some white acrylic. I've already got some out. I think I've already got some out. Unless it's some sort of medium, we'll soon find out. I just love painting. I think painting's great fun. There's so much mess you can make as well, like, and you're allowed to. You know? It's not great, because often in life we are encouraged, I think, particularly maybe as women, they're all women here. Yeah. I think particularly maybe as women we're kind of encouraged to keep ourselves neat and small and tidy and not to go outside the lines, and there's a bit of that. And I think we're standing in support of our whole kind of gender and saying, no! I don't know. That's maybe a bit militant, is it? I don't think so. I think it's a personal freedom actually, and it's not gender related actually. There's a lot of men too who would feel that same restriction, I think, and who could also do with that feeling of it's okay to make a mess, you know, it's okay to, and it's more than okay, it's almost like we have an obligation, I think, to experiment with our particular mess making skills. You know, what is it that we're going to bring? And everybody will have their own slight quirky way, like we saw yesterday even how very different interpretations of the same flowers were, you know, very different and very beautiful from everybody. Yeah, okay. Alright, and did someone do the timer thing? No? Does anyone time? Just no?
Keep going.
Okay. Well, geez, that's a dangerous thing now. You could still be here, like, you could be here quite a bit longer than planned. So yeah, and sometimes the thing, you know, I really love collage and it's optional. But sometimes you might find that after you've started on something you feel like, oh, I want to inject a bit of collage now. It's not something that you might start with, but it might be something that you'd inject later on. Let's see what that would look like there. If you can find something that's maybe a similar colour, and as I say, like with the vase, you can always take it off again. That's the joy of painting in mixed media. I find it an acrylic that you can always adjust the edges. I want the edge to be flush there. It's a good shape. Maybe there instead. different these. And I'm kind of almost just waiting as well for I'm just waiting too for things elsewhere to dry. I'm going on with that, but maybe because this is annoying me a little bit there. Always put a touch over here then. I like that. It's slippery there. And put on some more, put on a little bit more green paint then so that it can merge us together. Gosh, my brushes are all over the place now. I'll just put on a little bit of green at the edge of that because I don't really want the white part at the edge to be seen there. Yeah, do you remember the thing that happened with acrylic when we slash it and wipe away? Just gonna wipe away. I can see Evie like frowning, kind of, what the fuck? Calm down a bit, woman. I can
I'm
feel
worn out watching you.
I never done that. I must do that today.
oh, the splashy thing, yeah, because look, isn't that, I mean, that just makes you excited, no?
Yeah, it's good.
I think that's lovely what happens there. And I've done it here now, it may be a bit early to wipe it away, but you can experiment with how, yeah, it's too early, is it? Anyway, you can experiment with how long to leave it. Sometimes, if you want it right back to the white paper, you can leave it for longer. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then that blue part almost has a feel of that background colour too about it. There's a part of me that says, oh, it's too much, and then there's another part that's a bit louder that says, it's okay, it's not. A bit that kind of says, try it anyway. And that's the bit that, you know, in the Artist's Way with Julia Cameron, I don't know if you know the Artist's Way. It's a lovely book. There's a new edition out now, and she really encourages that, strengthening that, your capacity to play, be creative, and just live in that way, like to really allow that voice to have more say in your life, the voice that says, try it. There's potential there, try it. And just open to it, and see what happens. You never know. And what's the worst that can happen when it's only a sheet of paper? I can have a very bad video and very bored. That's not. No. Okay. I think I'm going to just stop there actually. But like, you know, the next, oh yeah, and everything, so the ink and all that. We have ink as well, Evie.
Yeah, I didn't bring mine with me because I thought you.
Yeah, there's plenty, and I said you can use whatever. Yeah. And you can draw with the ink, draw with the sticks. The little ink is a little bit more orangey. That works over white paper, but it wouldn't work over the green so well. So you can figure it out, and you could use the yellow paint to put something down first. And like we did yesterday, somebody yesterday painted white first and then yellow over the top. So if you've got somewhere you need to inject the bright flower, to put white down first will allow you to then paint the brighter colour over it. I think I'm going to stop there. And you know all the stuff that's available and the different things that you can opt for. And mostly just have a look at the flowers that inspire you most, set yourself up there, and then just stand for a little while, breathe, and visualize the space that the flowers might occupy on your piece of paper. And then rolling the shoulders back and everything set up easily. If you're right-handed, everything's set up easily on your right-hand side. You can access water, your palette is here. And you can allow yourself to get into a flow of seeing and painting down, seeing and painting down. And it's almost at the same time eventually that it begins to feel like it happens. Okay, so thanks very much for your attention. And thank you for your attention. And all the very best.